Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Everyday People is an exciting show because every time we have a guest on, oh my goodness, it's all about them giving to others and sharing to others. And since today is Christmas, we want to wish you a very Merry Christmas. And the spirit of giving that Christmas is normally associated with, it's 365 days a year. And the guest we have today, a young lady, when you hear her story, oh my goodness, you're going to say, wow. And for you guys out there who think you can do what she can do, a little friendly advice, man to man, get up early, eat your Wheaties, and pack a lunch. Because, son, you're going to need it. We'll be right back with Tamara and our guest just after this brief message.
Hi, my name is Michelle Moros, and I had the honor of being on Everyday People with Jim and Tamara, and I had such a blast. They are amazing hosts, and they just truly help talk up what you do as an individual, as a business, as an entrepreneur. And if you get a chance, if you get to be part of this, you really want to be there on their show with them and to share this around the world with your circles, because they're real people, inspiring and sharing stories of real people. And it's fabulous to be part of this community. Hope to see you on Everyday People.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, we're sponsored by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. And with me is my lovely assistant, Tamara Blankenship. Tamara, how are you today?
Come out in like some magic act. Do some magic for everybody. I feel like we're like one of those, Houdinis and Houdini's assistant.
Oh, yeah. I tell you, Manna that we got on today, she is just a wonderful, very impressive lady with what she does, and we got to bring her to the stage. I'm going to give you a chance to welcome her to the stage, to the show, and we're just going to kick this thing right on off.
I am super excited to bring this amazing superstar who helps people really with their intuition and ability to. Would you say you're more of a life coach with like more of an intuitive read? How would you describe things that you offer the community?
Well, I run a nonprofit. It's called Give Global Initiative, and we work with children and families around the globe. We reach about 10,000 children every year. I've spent about 15 years working for nonprofits, volunteering my time for nonprofits. But on the other hand, to answer your question, one of the biggest things that I realized as we were doing the work that we do with Gift is moving the needle towards consciousness. So we can bring, supplies, we can bring sponsorships and food and clothing for these kids and families, but that's not enough and it's not complete. What would make it complete is if we can work together as a society to move towards mindfulness, consciousness, and to be aware of how we are using our time here on the planet.
I love
and
that.
how are we giving? How are we receiving? So it's a real, I would say it's a complete journey of not just helping other people, but helping and empowering yourself. That's what I do.
I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we've found that whenever we reach out from the heart and we serve others and we focus on how can we be a blessing in their life, guess what? Blessing's going to come your way, and you're going to live a life of joy, jubilee, and you're going to live a life of abundance.
I love what you just said, because human brain is wired to give. And at some point, I think we have forgotten that it's not about receiving all the time. It's about giving, because that comes back to us. And it comes back to us because when you give, you put yourself in a state of joy and happiness. And that's what brings abundance in your life, is giving.
Yeah, it really does. And I know, Tamara, that you have seen that a lot in your work that you do. and the people
Absolutely.
that you've helped, because my goodness gracious, just share a little bit about what you do there, because it's a great story too, Tamara.
Yeah, I actually love helping people navigate, believe it or not, conflict. So when people are struggling with their inner resistance or relationship resistance or even business relationships, we help them reassess the gifts of the opportunity, kind of look at the value of why these things are happening instead of getting so invested in the why they're not happening the way you want them to happen, because you're missing the whole point pretty much.
Yeah.
But so I love getting a chance to help people find those aha moments when they realize that some of their patterning, their conditionings, or their belief systems that are stuck are creating these nonstop opportunities to reassess and reevaluate the way they live their life.
Yeah, it's programming, right?
Exactly. Those really cool moments where we get to either break old patterning or belief systems that no longer serve us into something that really deeply has meaning. And I mean, that's, to me, what we're here for is all these amazing feelings, these awesome experiences to encounter our emotions. And when we miss out and we create a story attached to them, we miss the whole purpose to that opportunity. So I love what you said earlier about recognizing, not chasing those, we were kind of talking before the show, a little bit of chasing those mental, thoughts constantly and trying to quiet your mind down. And this whole movement of, the monkey mind is stopping the monkey mind. And I just love what you said about that. It's not about stopping that as much as it is embracing. And I have this belief of not only embracing that you're chasing thought, but to recognize it's not really serving you, and what can you do better, not stop it. So how do you see that?
How do I see that?
Yeah.
Well, I see and let me explain to you this way. You walk into a car dealership and you buy a new car for yourself, and the next day you get into the car and the car says, oh, we want to go to Santa Monica for shopping. So the first day is going to be amusing because this car is making the decision for you. The next day you have to go pick up your child and the car says, nope, I'm going to Pasadena. So now the car's becoming a nuisance.
Yes.
So
yes.
That's the difference. When you allow your mind and your body to make the decisions for you, that's a car. And you, as the higher consciousness, is invincible, limitless, boundless. You're supposed to be in the driver's seat, not your body, not your mind.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Yeah. Yeah. Are you letting life dictate your joy, or are you living joyful? Are you connecting to your actual joyful moments? I love that.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
So what started this whole passion for starting the nonprofit? I'd love to hear more about that. What got you on that journey?
Well, so I was working at the American Red Cross many, many years ago. Found myself far away from the trenches. I was a chief operations officer, so always in the office doing the back office work, and always wanted to be out there in the field, feeling life happen around me.
Right.
So I started volunteering for nonprofits to go rescue sex trafficking victims, and I started raising money on a volunteer basis. But I'm very curious by nature, so I wanted to know what they're doing with the money that I'm raising. So I found myself on a raid going into, this brothel to rescue kids. At that point, I didn't know these were kids. I thought it would be 17, 18-year-old women or men. And we step in and we find 4- and 5-year-old kids.
Isn't that crazy?
And it was an eye-opener, life changer for me. The next question I asked myself is, why are nonprofits reactive? Why aren't we proactive? And we focus.
I love what she's saying there.
Why is money younger? We still have.
We lost
poverty.
You a little bit.
Why?
We lost you a little bit. You were saying that it's really a beautiful thing that, that you're recognizing that they're not being proactive, they're being reactive. I love what you're saying there. Correct. What were you saying after that?
And
we lost you a little
nature.
bit.
Yeah, that's human nature though. We see someone in pain and we want to reach out and help them, but that's been reactive. Proactive is preventive in nature. You do things before something happens, right? So that's GIFT. So we created GIFT Global Initiative, but the foundation of GIFT is to be proactive about these societal evils. So we find kids and families who live in environments where they may not be victims of something right now, but if they live there long enough, they will be. So we provide them with not just transitional aid, but school sponsorships and empowering programs which allow these families to provide for their own children.
Love it.
On that path, I also noticed that it's not enough to just provide them with physical and material things, but spiritual knowledge as well, so that empowerment comes to them and I don't have to provide them with empowerment. Yeah, we have the answers to everything. Isn't that so? Yeah.
Well, it's really fascinating. I've actually been very proactive or really involved out here in sex trafficking. Arizona is known as the second largest state that's very engaged or that has a lot of sex trafficking, which is really sad to be ranked on even that chart at that high of a level. And what's really fascinating is there's a lot of churches in the community that go out and talk to hotels. We do go in and let them know what it looks like so they can help us track down some of these people. So I love the fact that you're even attacking is not a good word, but you're going straight into the families, where the actual troubles, there's a lot of kids don't feel like they're supported or safe, and kids turning in kids. There's so much more going on where kids are turning kids in to situations like this because they can say, hey, this person's at risk. And there's just so much going on in that world.
We do a lot of work down by the U.S.-Mexico border, and there's a small community, about 1,000 families. And I say small because the other communities we work in are much bigger. But this 1,000 family household is right 10 minutes from the U.S.-Mexico border, and mostly it's single mothers, moms are prostitute, no whereabouts for the dads. It is controlled by the cartel, the Mexican cartel. But the success stories that we've been working there 6 years, and we see such change in these families who go through our programs. The kids are in school, the moms have found better jobs, they don't feel exploited, they can provide for their own children. It's amazing what we see every day. And that's how we define success. A gift is not how much money you raise, but how many families and how many people you can reach every year.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really amazing, because I'm sitting here listening to what you're saying there and the work, and I'm familiar with a lot of it. And but most people are like me. They're aware of it, but they don't see it or hear anything about it, so it's not in the foremost of their mind. And how do you keep the information flowing to educate people? Say, hey, this is an ongoing problem. It takes a community effort. It takes, money. It takes everything that our resources that we have to share with others to make, people's lives complete and make them whole.
Speaking, and shows and shows like yours, podcasts, social media has been really helpful in that sense, because as long as they don't censor you, we are able to put out a lot of information. I lost my LinkedIn account to this fight a few months ago, but they didn't want me to post about sex trafficking or we do some amount of work in Syria and Yemen. So I was sharing pictures of our work from there, which were very graphic, and they didn't want me to put that on LinkedIn. But social media has been very helpful to provide. People reach out to us from all over the world, and that's the power of social media. Yes. So we just put these things out there on social media. I didn't know who Jim was. He reached out to me on Facebook. And so it's really helpful that we live in an age where all you have to do is speak up on social media, share things that you see which appeal to you, share them. You don't always have to donate to something. Show up, give your time. That's how you educate yourself. And some amount of it also goes down to self-awareness. So people have to educate themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, we all have a responsibility to take care of each other, and especially our children, because I feel like even if you're not a mother or a father, we all are a tribe. We all need to step in and support each other and keep each other safe. So I love that you're passionate about this.
And I think that's the biggest misconception, that sex trafficking only happens in poor areas. That's not true.
That's exactly why I brought it up. Yeah.
You have apps such as OfferUp and Let Go, and these kids will try to sell furniture or items, and you see traffickers track them. or video games, to chat rooms on video games. Traffickers will track kids who are low in confidence but are from good families as well. So parents have to be really aware of that. So,
yeah, that troubled teens. I know a lot of the kids that we spoke with, their friend turned them into told somebody else that was within the community of trafficking, and actually ended up getting pulled in because they were at a weak time in their lives. And the stories of being kept in a dog cage, they're just horrific stories for sure of how.
And just while we're on that same topic, every city in the United States has a human trafficking task force. We have 24-hour, the local sheriff department or your police have 24-hour human trafficking task force, which are constantly tracking down children and traffickers, and they do some incredible work. In Los Angeles, we have a trafficking task force that's just incredible, the amount of work they do. So just reach out to them, if you come across something that's fishy.
Yeah. It's been really interesting. Like I said, we go and speak at hotels to educate the hotels what to look for. It's as graphic as it is what smells to see, like what signs do you know that something's fishy here, something's not wrong? Because I think a lot of people just think they don't want to get involved. They don't want to, then they have to get pulled into it or whatever their story is. Yeah. So it's all of our responsibility to participate in that. So what do you see is the number one issue you stumble upon in getting the word out? Is it ignorance? Do you feel like people are it's not in my city, not in my town? Or do you feel like, it's just helping people know what to look for?
I would say that people are not as mindful as I would like them to be. And it's not that people are not giving. People are very giving. United States is definitely one of the most giving countries. And I'm not saying this just because I live here and love the country. If you just search that, U.S. has been in the last 10 years #1 in terms of humanitarian, money that was sent. But people don't do their research before they give. And and in LA, we see this a lot. Los Angeles has a large homeless population, and people want to go to downtown and dump blankets and dump food on the homeless people. But if you want to set up a building right next to yours, you don't want that. You don't want homeless in your neighborhood.
So true.
Just dumping food and water and blankets is not going to solve the problem. So that's not being transitional aid it's great, but it doesn't go long. It doesn't go a long way. You have to empower them. You have to bring them tools and techniques where they can empower themselves. And people don't have time or patience to do that. So it's really educating people on being more mindful about how you're giving. Is giving $10 for food is better, or giving $10 for a woman who can do a class which will provide her with the knowledge where she can provide food for her own kids? What's better? Just educating people about the difference between transitional aid and empowering charity.
And actually, why to get your hands dirty? It actually is a form of self-care to get involved and do charity work. It's actually very, very
we run empowerment workshops in South Africa and some other African countries where these women attend weekly workshops, and we teach them different trade and set up small businesses for them, and they stitch jackets, or they make food, or they set up their own businesses, and within a year's time these women will not ask you for money. They can provide for themselves.
Self-sufficient. Yeah. Isn't that what we want to teach everyone, to be self-sufficient?
Oh yeah, because I've seen pictures of your travels and things like that, and I was telling Tamara before you came onto the backstage there, I says it's pretty and it's elegant, she can look and all that. When she gets out there, in the, Africa or wherever with the folks, the poor people, I mean, she's right there with them. She's just a worker bee. I mean, it's just, I tip my hat to you, because you live in some very harsh conditions to be able to go out, eyeball to eyeball with these folks and let them know that you care, number one. Number two, you're there. And number three, you're going to help them. And I salute you on that, young lady. I really do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm very selfish.
I totally get that.
It brings me a lot of joy and satisfaction in doing that.
Oh, yeah.
And also the fact that we can we can see for ourselves and show the donors where the money's going.
Right.
That's number one for me, because people put their trust when they give money, and I want them to see that the money went directly to the family, not to some government agency where it will sit for months. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, because when you donate money to organizations, sometimes you don't know how much of the money is going for the cause, the
Yeah.
reason why you gave, and that's very important. But with your organization, folks, I've seen the pictures and all that. I've seen the videos. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
we're also a volunteer organization. So, which
yeah,
means when you donate $1 to gift, I would say about 92 cents goes to the family. The rest of the 8 cents, I would say, would be traveling to the family, or
right,
the overhead expenses. But we don't have
sure.
officers, we don't have employees. It's a volunteer organization, and we hope to keep it the same way. Yeah.
So people go to your website there, www. dot ggiusa.org. What would they find when they go there? I mean, what would they go ahead? Tell us about your
Yeah,
website.
so when you go on the website, first of all, we are very active on social media. So if you want to see a constant stream of events or things that we're doing, just Instagram, Facebook, me, it's all on social media. The website is a necessity. So
Yeah.
on the website, you'll definitely find information about what gift is. But under donations, there's a tab called donations where you'll see all the different programs we run. And people get to pick and choose what they feel, where they want to donate. So if you're more passionate about education, we have something called Sports for Solar, where we bring solar lights, but we don't want to give them away free. So we have these like sporting events every year, and the kids will take part in the sporting event twice a year, and they go home with solar lights, bringing light to their families for the very first time. So the kids feel like they earned it. So we have Sports for Solar, we have a water initiative, a lot of things that we do. It will be under the donate button, and they can pick and choose where they would like to donate. There are also events where people can see what's coming up if they want to volunteer. There's a volunteer tab where people can submit their volunteer application and be ready to volunteer, because time is the best thing you can give a nonprofit.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And the email that's your email address right there. Is that the best way to get in touch with you?
Yes. Yeah, they can always email me. They can always reach out to me on social media. I'm very available.
Good deal. I tell you, Tamara, the kind of work that you do when you're doing charity work, any type of charity work, I've been involved in with feeding, people here in the county that's, with the food bank and all that. And it's a lot of fun too, and you build rapport with them, and just it's the feeling that you get in return is something money can't buy.
Absolutely.
Yes. You just can't buy it. No way.
You just become more conscious. I mean, we live in such a beautiful country that you'll come back to your home with a better appreciation for what you have.
Oh,
and you'll not complain about that bad coffee from Starbucks every morning.
Yeah, I tell you, there's some people, they enjoy complaining,
Yeah. So what kind of volunteer work are you looking for? If somebody wants to volunteer, but they don't know how they could possibly support a community like this, what would you suggest, or what are you looking for?
First of all, you should be okay traveling to an area which does not have toilets, you'll go about 12 hours without, proper running water or light. So we work in really tough areas. But that's not the only way to volunteer. You could also volunteer back office, which is right here in Los Angeles, if you are available. If you're not in LA, online, a lot of people give their expertise. So people create videos, and people create graphics for gift. Someone's working on a nice newsletter for us. So all those things could be done online. So you don't always have to be in an area controlled by the cartel. But if you're adventurous and if you want to go work with these kids and families and experience it, you can travel with us when we go to these areas. Wow. Yeah.
So how would they prepare themselves for something like this? Would this be something that obviously they would pay their way? So that would be something that they would need. What else would they need?
Well, they need a
something like
passport if they're going outside the country, for sure. We have had people who traveled with us and had no passport.
Oh no.
Yeah, someone came with us to Mexico and all well on our way to Mexico, I asked him, so everyone has their passports? And this person was like, no, I don't. I'm like,
Oh, no.
We're going to a different country. Do you not know that?
Yeah.
But you definitely need a passport if you're traveling outside of the US. Most of our work is also outside of the US, in Mexico, in Africa. You will also be paying your own trip because we are a volunteer organization, so we all pay out of pocket for the work that we do. But GIFT provides with donation receipts. So if you're spending money on volunteer work, all that money that you spend is tax deductible, so you can claim it back in taxes every year. So, and also, depending on where you're going, you will get specific instructions. But really, you have to be mentally prepared to be in areas which are really rough.
Yeah. Love that. Thank you. And also just knowing that you're going there, it's not about getting your money back as much as you're giving a gift of human connection, which I think is just more healing. Somebody's in pain, just to know that somebody else will sit there and be there in their darkest hour is just such a powerful gift.
We had the Australian Air Force, I believe, last year send their people, their dentists, to Mexico to provide free dental services to the kids there, which was amazing. They traveled all the way from Australia to Mexico for that. But it was incredible. Yeah.
A huge gift.
It's just amazing when you go in places like that. I've been in third world countries, and the thing that really shocked me, now this is back, when I first went to Vietnam, use that example, back in 1969. The thing that shocked me right out of the gate was the fact that these folks didn't have anything. And people are the same everywhere you go. They want to live their life the way they want to. They want to be loved, and they want to be left alone as far as people, governments and stuff like that bothering them. But, they were so grateful and so thankful for what little they had. And like you said earlier, man, here we are. We grumble if the coffee's too hot.
Yeah.
That burned my mouth.
Yeah. I mean, just, if you go down to San Diego, right on the US-Mexico border, there's a huge mall with, the biggest stores, shops. And people come there to shop from Los Angeles because it's a beautiful mall. You cross the border, walk 10 minutes, and you see women trying to sell their kids because they don't have food. They think that someone will take their child to America, but they don't understand that the kid will be in trafficking. And this is just 10 minutes from that big mall that we have. And it's just a world apart, 10 minutes from the US border. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sad. It really is. It's, oh goodness. Some of the things you've seen in your life, my goodness gracious, I mean, it would shock a lot of people because a lot of Americans, they're used to watching the world from their comfort of their living room on the big screen TV, but being out there in the, face to face, eyeball to eyeball, I mean, that's a different breed of cat, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I try not to speak about it, but the first child that I rescued is about 18 now from sex trafficking. He was 4, he's a boy. And we found him tied on a table. His hands and legs were tied, and they were grooming him to be trafficked. And when I say grooming, these kids are raped 3 and 4 times a day to be broken into sex trafficking. And most people are you never hear about this. You never find about, a child 4 years old groomed into sex trafficking. But that's a reality, and it's millions of children every year.
Yeah, I know. That's about as morbid and as sick as you can get where I come from. It really is. It's sad, but people need to be aware of that. And we got to stop for just a second. Angel Marie Monticelli wants to say something to us and help us pay a couple of bills. We'll be right back right after this brief message, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, I'm Angel Marie Monticelli with Angel Marie Shines. And I had the pleasure, the honor to go through training for the 6-minute webinar. Oh my gosh, this webinar and how it's structured and how they teach it. Thank you, Speakers Pathway Coalition. Thank you, Don McGrath and the whole team for the 6-minute webinar. because you made it so simple, easy. And the way you lined it out with the outline, I can reproduce it and reproduce it. And I'm already getting the engagement. I'm getting people that are coming back that are saying, oh, I love this webinar that's so short, so to the point, and I love your products and what I'm selling, but then what I'm also the services that I provide. And I do any of this because I have the framework. So thank you so much to the whole team, because the 6-minute webinar totally rocks. Thank you.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the show. And man, I tell you right now, young lady, you're just, you just probably shocked a lot of people out there, because the spirit of giving on Christmas, it's 365 days a year, especially the type of giving that you and other volunteers like you give to those that can't help themselves. I mean, like the children and stuff. My goodness gracious. I tip my hat to you. I really do. And Tamara, I know that you're just, as touched in the heart as I am, about this.
Absolutely.
It's just, unbelievable that stuff like it goes on, but it does. And you can't stick your head in the sand and pretend that it doesn't exist, because it does. And we got to step up to the plate and be proactive about it. It's just, that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Can you share with everyone what happens to these children once you save them and they start getting educated? What's that process look like? You find these amazing children who need to be supported. Do they go to like a foster home? What does it look like? Can you share with people?
So most other countries don't have foster care system. And a lot of these children that we work with do have families. So they have single moms in most cases. In some cases, the father is present, but probably in the prison or not supporting the family. So we bring them, so what we do is we work with the children, provide them education, we give them school sponsorships, which provides for an entire year of school tuition, anything that they need, food, transportation, shoes, uniform, everything. And then we also provide a job to the mother, either through the Women and Men workshops, or if the skill sets basic, we provide a job to her so that she can start providing her family without having to be a prostitute or getting trafficked or exploited. And we just, stick with them throughout. We also pay for medical expenses of the child, which is the number one cause why a parent will feel vulnerable to sell the child is medical causes.
Right.
There's a child that I always post about her because I'm so proud of her journey. She is 6 years old. I met her when she was 2, had brain cancer. The mom was running the streets with drugs, had left the child, wanted nothing to do with the baby. Father had passed away, and the only caregiver was a grandma. So we provided her with her entire cancer treatment was paid by our medical fund. And now she's in school. She's cancer free. She is in the 2nd year now of school, and she's very healthy. And we moved her from the place where she lived into a nicer house. So the grandma is not that old. She's about 45, but
Wow.
They marry young. So
right, and different culture.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So those are success stories. You see that these kids, and that the idea is not to keep providing for them. That's not the goal.
Right.
The goal is to make them self-sufficient, to empower the moms, the grandmoms to provide for the kids. And that's what we do day in and day out, is how can we empower them quickly so that we're not supporting them for 15 years, 20 years, and they're still stuck in the same situation.
Oh, yeah. That's very wise, because giving them a helping hand and help them get some traction in their life and some focus and direction, that's really all they need. And plus, when you do not allow that to happen, what you do is that you rob them of their self-respect and their self-esteem.
Yeah.
And that does more damage than anything else, I think.
Yeah, and you see a different attachment from these children for gift, because there are many church groups and many other nonprofits who would go to Mexico and dump blankets and food. but that's like Christmas for them. It lasts a day. What we do is much more long lasting. When we arrive, they come, they hug us, they greet us. There's a lot of love. They reach out on social media, the message. You see that you build a connection with these children, and they look up to you. They want to be like you. You know, they don't want to be like the cartel that's out there to recruit them. They want to be like this woman or this guy who just came from America to give them love and spend some time with them and educate them. And that brings a lot of joy and satisfaction to you when you do that, to see this child grow up and be successful.
Absolutely.
As you were talking, one of the things that came to my mind is that people sitting at home right now listen to this and think, well, how can I help if I don't have much? Well, guess what? You can organize a giving party of people that could just give a little bit each month, every month, you know, whatever it might be, because in numbers, it really multiplies, and having a consistent little flow of income and money to this organization month in and month out, that's going to make a huge impact. It really does. It only takes a little bit of grease to stop the wheel from squeaking.
Yeah. And Jim, to add to that, just by maybe you may not raise any money when you run a fundraiser, right? But what you're doing is when you put a fundraiser out there, people know about this organization. They instantly start talking about give. What's give? They start looking for give. They Google it. They try to find. That's awareness. So you're creating awareness by just speaking about a cause that you think needs attention. So, and it's not just about gift. You know, it could be a local grassroots nonprofit in your area. Go and spend some time with them. Because the first thing that people will do when they have to donate is go to these large nonprofits, which have a lot of money to market and advertise. So any you'll see these ads, to blah, 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 9292, and you do that right away without thinking that this money may never reach Japan. So rather just invest your time in local grassroots nonprofit who are making a difference in your community.
And also do your due diligence. Make sure you do the research, because it doesn't matter how big or how small the organization is. There are people who are out there. We have to be intentional. We have to be conscious of where we're pouring it.
Yes. And Tamra, I've been with the biggest nonprofits. I've been with Red Cross. I've been with United Nations as an advisor. I've been all over the place. So I can talk about what happens to all the money that's been donated. But which is why I always say that support your grassroots nonprofits, because they do. It's not about how much money nonprofits raise. It's really not about that. It's how many people, how many lives are they impacting? And your due diligence should be that. You know, how many people did you reach this year? What did you do for these kids? Those are the questions that you should ask.
But don't just trust it's a grassroots. Really do the research is what I'm speaking to. Don't just trust that. Because, I mean, it's one thing to say grassroots, but people don't realize there are a lot of people who are taking advantage of those situations too. So we have to be really clear that you have to do your homework. It's on you to definitely do that work. Don't trust. You've got to do the work. Ask
the best way to do that homework is to volunteer for them. So even before you give them money, spend some time and you'll find out what the organization does.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. Beautiful advice. Thank you.
It really is, because, you know, some of these organizations, they're more, the focus is more on being in business than, you know, helping others. And it's really important to check them out and see how much money, like Manna just shared, about 92 cents out of every dollar goes directly to the families out there, the children, and the other 8 cents is, you know, absorbed in, you know, daily operating costs, which is very extremely cheap.
Yeah.
And I really, you know, I just admire the kind of work that you did there. For me and Tamara have you here on Everyday People, my goodness gracious. Tamara, you know, this show seems to blow me away. So every week we just keep getting, you know, really more and more. People. Yeah. And we're going to have to really look far and wide to find somebody that can even hang there with Manna, huh?
Absolutely. It is really,
go ahead, please.
I think it's so beautiful to see how, like, the whole concept of Everyday People is to recognize there are people out there making an impact. And that's the whole reason I wanted to do part of this show, is just to show that it doesn't have to be a big company. It has to do with having a good heart and doing the right thing.
Oh, yeah.
And not letting the negative thinking or the negative beliefs that I can't because it's just me. You have to get out there and do something. Do anything to make an impact, to change the world. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Just pick one thing that you love to do.
Absolutely.
And put your heart into it, and game over. Game over. That's it, you know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it doesn't require any intelligence, because I've done that before, and I can attest to that.
You're so ridiculous.
When I'm honest, you know, look at that.
It's not honest. You're a very brilliant man. So funny. No, I do. I really appreciate you coming up and sharing about your journey and your passion to do this, because it is something that is very near and dear to my heart too. I've been more in the root of educating the public on finding these people, because I feel like we are pretending that nothing, we have that ignorance going on. And I just think it's so important for people to recognize it's going on right underneath your nose. You need to pay attention. Oh, yeah. You need to have a voice and really help those children who don't have a voice for themselves. It's really empowering.
And as long as it's ignorance, that's okay, because you can change that. But I've come across people who say to me, "Why do you do this? Because nothing's going to change." Ugh. And it's incredible that people have even that thought process where, oh, you don't need to do anything because these people will always be poor. They'll always be exploited. And like, I can't believe people could think that way.
Well, that's when you ask, have you never been given a gift of help? Have you never been helped in any way of your life? Like, that's ridiculous to think of that ignorance.
Yeah, which is, again, coming back to consciousness and just making people, moving the needle, what you're doing with conflict, moving the needle towards making people understand that there are things, there are things which are not just materialistic. There are things outside of your own little world that you need to open your eyes to. And those are much more long lasting. You'll take those things with you when you go, not the money, not the cars and houses that you build. So how about to spend some little bit of time on building that legacy where people look back and say, oh, she gave or he gave, more than saying they had 10 houses and 5 cars. You take none of that with you.
Yeah, your relatives are going to fight over that.
Yes.
But Manna, one of the things we were talking about before the show began is that this young lady grew up on a farm, and she is an animal lover, and she had chickens and cows. And would you share a little bit about your background, as where you grew up at, and all the animals you had there on the farm, please?
Yes, I was born in India and grew up in South Africa on a ranch. My dad is a great animal lover, so we had chickens, horses, dogs. At one point, I had about 15 large dogs, everything from Dobermans to boxers to just love around me of animals. And I think introducing kids to animals at that age, allows them to embrace their nurturing qualities and become more compassionate, because animals teach us so much. So yes, I grew up on a ranch. We had rice fields, and we used to pluck strawberries and eat them off the like strawberry shrubs. My dad still has cows and buffaloes, and it's just, it's a different world. When I first moved here about 12 years ago, and I saw the size of an onion in the United States, I was like, this is not an onion. It was this big. And I grew up on a farm, so everything is very organic. The size of an egg is this small. Over here, everything is so big. And it's like, oh my God, I don't know how much chemical has been poured into this little egg to make it that size. But yeah, I'm a huge animal lover. And I think it's important to introduce children to animals because it makes them more compassionate and loving. Yeah. And my sister does that. She makes my nieces volunteer for dog rescue organizations every weekend. Yeah.
So you had 15, up to 15 dogs at one time. So every
Yes.
dog saw you just automatically followed you home, I guess. And
No, so I was just telling Tamara that I used to bring stray dogs home. So my dad didn't want me to do that. So he would bring me a dog every year. But obviously that didn't stop me from bringing stray dogs home. And I ended up with many dogs.
Oh, I tell you.
Cute.
Yeah, because I see pictures of you and your dog, and I can tell you right now, Tamara, that dog is spoiled rotten. He is just spoiled rotten, you know.
I had a no furniture, no jumping on the furniture policy for him when I first got him. That lasted about 2 hours.
Right? I was stuck with the puppy.
Yeah, he was like, I'm walking all over her.
Oh, yeah.
He's beautiful. He's 7 years old. Is a boxer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very cute.
Animals bring a lot of comfort to us in our lives, and they just give unconditional love. And
Yes.
they're just the way they make you feel, and they're part of your life. I mean, goodness gracious, it just, I've said many times before, and I'm probably repeating it here, but you know, if everyone had the heart of a family dog, goodness gracious, folks, what a wonderful world this world would be.
Maybe a little balance between a cat and a dog.
Well, don't let those cats get around me, because they seem to master me in a second. They look at me like, oh, this guy's no challenge.
This guy's no challenge.
It's true. I'm not making that up. I'm telling you.
Cute.
But, you know, I grew up on a farm myself, and, you know, having animals and responsibility, learning how to work. And my dad was, he was a fair guy. He was a very strict guy. I mean, when he said something, you didn't have to scratch your head and wonder what he meant. And when I would do something overly intelligent as a teenager, I never will forget one of his phrases. And I've heard this many, many times growing up. He says, son, that looks like to me a good way to skin your ignorance. I've never forgotten that over the years. And
my dad did what I do. So he was he was in politics, but he was more of a public servant than a politician. So he never succeeded in politics, but he did a lot of good work. A social worker, I would call him. So he would take me and my sister with him anytime he was going to these slums and shanty towns. And back then as a child, I was disgusted by it. I was like, oh my God, this is so gross. I don't want to be here. But obviously now I find myself doing the same thing as
carrying
my
his
dad.
legacy on.
Yes, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're very blessed to have a dad like that, you know, wanted you to be showing that, you know, this is how we treat people. This is what we do. We help those in our hour of need. And goodness gracious, that's a wonderful blessing. I didn't know that about your dad. Thank you for sharing it. And Tamara, I tell you, the work that Manna is doing, my goodness gracious. I mean, she's reaching out on all fronts, you know, when it comes to helping people and educating people and saying, hey, we got some problems here in society that we need to address. And that's extremely important, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a gift to have people like you, and especially with the concern around, I feel like we are educated and a lot of people know about the issues. And like you said, they try to deny it or they think hopeless thoughts, like they can't make an impact. And so I agree with you, letting them know the simplest thing of even putting together a video on a trade that they know. Maybe you're a craftsman and you have something that you can offer, or doing a video so that there's a training opportunity for someone to learn your skill. What a great legacy for you to leave behind. So love that, you know, just think about, be creative, be playful with the ways that you can give back, because that fulfillment is so intentional and so fulfilling. So and rather than use social media as a keypad warrior, use it as a tool that you can use to make people aware of causes around you. Absolutely.
You know, whatever it is that touches your heart, speak about it on social media and educate people using social media.
I love that. Absolutely. It's so easy for us to just be witnesses. We need to be engaged, interact with our world.
Yeah. And how many times do we get reactions out of people by posting something about politics? It's incredible that I post something about gift and people typically ignore it, or they see it, but they ignore it. But the minute I post something about a politician that you like or do not like, you see like thousands of comments on it. It's
Isn't
like,
that amazing?
Why won't you just spend a little bit of time on causes which, I mean, really, people who get into politics, and we work with a lot of politicians, we have to, because, sometimes you just have to get things done through law. But it's incredible that anyone who's getting into politics is its power and its money, and it's all going towards that one side of the political spectrum or towards that one person. But when you are into humanitarian work, everything's going to the people who need it. It's not self-serving. So spend some more time on things which are not self-serving and are helping others.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that, because my dad just talk about politicians. He says they're only interested in buttering their own bread. And that was the way he described to me. Very, very accurate. I mean, they were only interested in buttering their own bread. And people like that are takers in life, they really cheat themselves out of the true blessings of life, of living life abundantly and just enjoying the things, like I said before, money cannot buy, the feeling that you have in your heart. And being able to share your blessings with others. I mean, that is the greatest calling anyone could ever answer.
Yes.
And Manna, my goodness, you answered it at an early age, and you've inspired a multitude of people, to, be aware and help however they can. And the people that, you go and see, I bet when they see you coming, with some of the people that know you, it's just joy. It's like a home reunion, isn't it?
Yep. You see these kids jump on the cars and jump in the back of our trucks when they see us coming in, and that tells you that you're making an impact.
Oh yeah.
What a welcoming committee that must be when you arrive back. And how often do you go?
So before COVID, we went there every 2 weeks to Mexico. Right now, we run programs with local volunteers. So we have volunteers in every community. So even though I'm not there physically, we still have, like tomorrow, Christmas Day, we are doing meals in Mexico, Sierra Leone, South Africa. Thousands of kids will receive food and school care packages. So the work still goes on, whether I'm there or not. I FaceTime with them. Hopefully next year I can travel more and go and see them again. So
yeah, it's going to say, how has COVID impacted your behaviors? Have you is it not only just lacking or impacting your travel? Is it really impacting other elements? Like, I'm sure you're not able to speak as much.
It definitely impacted more volunteers from the US joining us on the travels, but we did go to Lebanon this year too. After the blast in Beirut, we spent about 2 weeks in Beirut helping the families who lost everything. So we were in Lebanon for 2 weeks. We were in Mexico this year a couple times. We were also in South Africa this February. But it's been very limited, the travel, and we're not taking any volunteers with us, just to be mindful of other people's safety. But the core group at GIVE, we do travel, and it hasn't affected us. We have to get out and do the work. We've been feeding homeless here in LA every day for the last, I would say, 8 months. We do at least 2 meals a day for the homeless population here in Los Angeles.
That's excellent.
Well, you're talking there. I've had an idea come to my mind. I'll visit with you after the show, how we could fit this. Tamara's familiar with what I'm going to say, the 6-minute webinar. It's tremendous, but to be able to set up a little series of those, to help people in certain areas, and because you got different areas there, and I'd be glad to work with you on that and, see what we can do there, because anything you try to do, it's going to be an improvement somewhere.
Yeah.
And it really will. The main thing is just as my dad used to say, get it up, get it in gear, and get it going. And we got about a couple of minutes left, and I'm going to let the ladies and Manna and Tamara just share some thoughts there, because they're just tremendous. They really are. Both of them are.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being here and inspiring everyone, especially during Christmas time, to not just give, but give all year long, and to really find that passion within you to do something different that brings more fulfillment just to your everyday life by being a part of a community that's trying to move the mark. I love the fact that you're talking about moving that needle, becoming more mindful, more aware, and recognizing you can make an impact. So like in conflict, it's all about perception. And once you shift your perception, the joy can come in. So I am super grateful you're here to share with us the way you move the mark and create that impact. Would you like to share something in a closing thought on your end?
Thanks for having me. This is fun. I would just like to repeat what I said when we started the show, which is the human brain, the human mind is wired to give. We are naturally wired to help and give. And there's a reason behind that, and there's a science behind that, and which is it puts you in a state of joy, you get a high out of helping people. You attain a state of happiness and complete satisfaction. And anything that's flowing into your life, whether it's abundance, money, jobs, cars, houses, all of that will flow in very easy if you're in a constant state of joy and happiness. So I would recommend, and I always tell people that start giving because it will really, and when I say giving, it does not mean give money. Give love, give time. There are a lot of ways you can help others. If you see a homeless person on the side of the street, stop and give him a bottle of water.
Hear their story.
Yeah, hear their story.
They really,
because beautiful. That will make you feel good. And when it makes you feel good, you see that you had an amazing day and abundance will flow into your existence just by doing that. So let yourself not forget that humans are wired to help. We are wired to give naturally. So give, and it will come back to you.
Absolutely. That is the best advice I think I've ever heard, anyone say it like that, because it's true. If you give, you're just you can't outgive the master giver. That's just bottom line. And the guest that we have here, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, if you'd like to get in touch with me and Tamara, just email us at inspiration@e360tv.com, and the staff will make sure we get it. And make sure that you go to Manna's website there, ggiusa.org, and check out her website there. Check her out on social media. And like I said, and open up the show this morning, guys, I'm speaking to you men folk out there, you better get up early. You better eat your Wheaties. You better pack a lunch, son, because you're going to need it if you're going to keep up with this young lady. But ladies and gentlemen, we've had a wonderful time. Most importantly, Merry Christmas to you and your family. It is our prayer that you and your family are blessed in all areas of your life, and then share your blessings with others. Hope you have a wonderful Christmas and a great New Year. We'll see you next time. Give everybody a chance to wave bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.